crew, I'm Belinda Risley and welcome to the Motorsport Coaching Podcast, the show designed for motorsport athletes, parents and support teams who want to accelerate their careers both on and off the track. Whether you're struggling to secure a sponsorship, grow your social media or understand the business side of racing, because yes, motorsport is a business, this podcast is here to help. Each episode, I'll share practical tips, advice and insights, often joined by industry experts, motorsport athletes who share their real-world experiences. So if you're ready to take your motorsport career to the next level, you're in the right place. Let's get started. Hello team and welcome to another episode of the Motorsport Coaching Podcast. I am your host Belinda Risley, and this week I'm very excited to reconnect with my beautiful friend Romy, who brings her wealth and experience and passion for engineering and motorsports. Having first fallen in love with engineering before motorsports, Romy shares her journey from Germany to becoming a groundbreaking engineer in Australian motorsports. We'll hear about her transformative time with Mercedes, her moves to Australia, and the pivotal role she's played at Red Bull Racing and now with Premier Air. Romy is a key figure in the engineering world, where she will dive into the intricacies of working across different racing categories like GT3 and supercars. Romy is not just shaping the future of motorsports through her technical acumen, but she's also an ardent advocate for women in engineering, as highlighted through her involvement in programs like the FIA Girls on Track and Future Females Australia. Tune in for a deep dive into the engineering minds behind some of the most thrilling motorsport moments and find out how Romy is paving the way for future generations in the industry. Whether you're an aspiring engineer or motorsport enthusiast and fan, or looking for an inspiring story, this episode has something for everyone. Hope you enjoyed today's episode. Romy, welcome to the Motorsport Coaching Podcast.
Yeah, thank you for having me again.
That's right, but it's been a long time since we've had it. I think it's like 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, I think it was just at my beginning at Triple Eight, was it? Or not long into it?
Yeah, I think you'd pretty much just arrived into the world of Australian motorsports, that is. So let's kick it off and take us back to where it all began. What first sparked your interest in motorsports and in engineering? Tell us a little bit about you and who are you?
Well, yeah, it started first with engineering rather than with motorsports straight away. Opposite some other people, my family is not involved really in motorsport beside watching Formula One back in the day, Sunday afternoon. That was like a classic for, I think, most of German families. That was the time when Michael Schumacher was racing. But yeah, I'm come from an area in Germany where a lot of the car manufacturers are. So I was surrounded with this, not only the engineering, but just like the manufacturing of cars, new cars. You see them in the media all the time or driving around. And a lot of my friends' parents used to work or still working for any of the car makers. But when I finished school, I still didn't know what to do mainly because I couldn't see what kind of jobs, especially in engineering, are actually out there, or what a car engineer is doing, or a designer or manufacturer. I always thought engineering has something to do with like big machines and dirty factories and all that. So it wasn't my first idea getting into that kind of field. And only when I did an internship with Mercedes, I realized it's actually pretty cool what these designers and the engineers are doing and how they develop these brand new road cars with all the new technology. Then I decided to study automotive engineering back in Germany. And only during my uni, I got a bit more interest into motorsport. Obviously, that kind of opens you the eyes, what jobs are there in the automotive industry. You get anyway more in contact with people who've been doing motorsport or had something to do with it. And my uni also had a Formula SIA team. I joined that, and that kind of kicked it all off.
Excuse me. That's so exciting that you're not from motorsports, but yet you found your love in motorsports, which many are trying to inspire to do so today. So that's fantastic. What is engineering? Like, how did you even get into engineering? So a lot of people talk about motorsport engineering, but if you want to, let's pull it right back. Exactly what is motorsport engineering?
Yeah, so what got me into it was more I always was good in math and physics in school, which I loved as well. But like I said, I couldn't really see what can you do, what kind of job you can do with it besides being a math teacher, so but during my internship kind of got me into exploring all areas of engineering, and the automotive engineering got my attention over mechanical engineering and material engineering, just because it was already specialized into developing and designing cars. And by that time, I really felt like I wanted to be part of the automotive industry in Germany. I loved all the new technology and how they develop these new cars. And that's still one of the reasons why I love my job in motorsport, just the technologies and always trying to create something new. Always these improvements. That's what makes that job so interesting.
And so was your dad like engineering or mom or like?
Nothing. No. My dad is a little bit technical because he actually sells CNC machines for a lot of the not actually the car manufacturer, but suppliers who supply parts to the car manufacturer. So he's kind of part of the automotive industry, and he definitely has a technical mind. He always was very proud when I had good grades in math and physics. But none of them are, both of them are not engineers, and definitely not in the motorsport themselves.
So you did say that you were at Mercedes Motorsports. So you spent 6 years there in DTM as a data and performance engineer. What were some of the lessons that you learned during that time? I guess, like you said, through your internship and then through your growth there.
Yeah, obviously there was a huge learning curve getting straight into that high level of motorsport, like even just learning about all the data and the performance analysis they've been doing. It's obviously in Germany, that's top level motorsport there with the DTM. The budget is huge and the teams are huge. That's kind of the first years. And then as they have so many areas, it's just so interesting how especially the race operation team where I was in, like traveling to the track and collecting data and using all the knowledge we have to improve the cars, and then collaborating with the design team who are constantly designing new parts, because that time you still had some design regulations, but it wasn't like the supercars are now where we have so many controlled parts. It's basically do what you want in the framework and try to go as fast as you can. So it was even throughout the season, we had new parts all the time. And that's something which was super interesting, as well as after like 2-3 years, I kind of moved a little bit into a tire engineer role. So we had a department for simulations and also the tire engineers were part of. I traveled to the US to one of the best tire dynos, run our tires there with people actually from the Mercedes Formula One team. They supported us because they do that quite often. Well, it was the first time for us doing it. Having all these areas of a huge motorsport team was super interesting. And then my last year with Mercedes, I was in the development team of the new GT3 car, which is now the current Mercedes AMG. And that year just was a whole experience by itself. Like we were just traveling from racetrack to racetrack almost a whole year. Each week was a different topic or different area of the car to develop. We had, for example, one week we just tested different tires. So the people from Pirelli, Michelin, and all were there bringing their tires and see how each tire compound performs on that car. And then the next week would be all about dampers. So we had people from Sachs, Multimatic there, bringing their dampers in. And then the next week would be aerodynamic parts. So it was just another huge learning curve the whole year. And just being part of that development team was amazing.
Wow, how exciting. No doubt you had great frequent flyer points that year. That's a really important thing.
Yeah, that's true.
But you did talk about frequent flyers. You did fly over here to Australia in 2015. What motivated the change, and how did the opportunity with Red Bull Racing come about?
Yeah, I mean, I still remember. So I kind of felt in beginning of 2015 already, I might want to explore new opportunities in a different race series, or especially also a different company, because it was about the GT3 development was about to end mid through that year. And then obviously there is a lot of motorsport in the UK. But then also it was the year when HWA was developing the supercar with Erebus, the Merc, which ran that year and that year after. And that was the first time I actually heard about supercars or motorsport in Australia.
Wow.
And I looked a little bit more into that, but it's because the teams are in general so small, same as our mine team, obviously, there is very little to find out where to apply, how to reach out. So I kind of stalled a little bit from my side because I didn't have any connections or anywhere to send my application to. But then I remember it was summer in Germany, but it was 15 degrees and raining. And I'm like, I'll need to get away from here. It's not being good for my mind if I keep being stuck here in Germany or the UK. So I sent my application, my CV to info@redbullracing.com. And today, that was on a weekend. On Monday, I had an email from Mark Dutton asking if I can do a Skype interview with them. And 3 months later, I sit in a plane flying to Australia.
You've never been here before. You had no friends,
No. I've never been to Australia in general, even not for holidays.
Yeah.
And I didn't know anyone, but I thought I'd give it a shot. And if it doesn't work out, I always can come back. But I kind of knew I can make it work.
Now, on a personal note, you are a surfer. Did you know how to surf before you came to Australia? Like, was that a draw?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I did a little bit of surfing on my travels before. Obviously, not on that level I'm now, but yeah, I kind of that obviously, like I said, it sparked my interest quite a lot that you have the lifestyle you guys have here in Australia, combining with high-level motorsport.
Yeah, so 10 years on now, you're an official Australian citizen.
That's correct, yes.
There's
Took
no
a while, but got there.
We've got a wonderful partner, a little boy and a little one on the way as well. So that's very
correct.
Aussie's now home.
Fully Aussie.
So back to Red Bull, Romy, like you have been a part of multiple winning championships, not just with Jamie and Shane Van Gisberg, but as well as the GT program as well overseas. Tell us a bit of your time working with Red Bull, some highs or lows or whatever you feel comfortable telling us about your experience working there.
Yeah, I mean, when I first joined Triple Eight and Red Bull Racing, it impressed me quite a lot on what high level the team works, especially the guys who go to the racetrack. Everything is incredibly structured. Everyone pulls in the same direction. Everyone is in the same boat. It's all the processes they have in place. That's what makes that team successful. And I see it over and over again. It's their structure, their processes are so robust, and so it's such a core value from them, and that helps them to succeed in any category, in any level. And obviously the highlight was 2017 when we won the championship with Jamie Whincup. I was the performance engineer on that car. Especially came down to the last minute of the last race. Super special moment there. But then on the other hand, I had a really good memories on when we then decided to join or when buying a GT3 car, that particular car which I developed, and then racing in Asia. That was my first experience as an actual race engineer. That same year, I also engineered the Super 2 car with Kurt Kostecki. We had a pole position or 2 pole positions. So, when I think back, it's only good memories with Triple Eight.
Yeah, and again, you had that success in 2022 with the Bathurst World Card with Craig Lowndes. What made that project so special and successful?
One of the things that I have felt it's definitely personally for me was so special. I came back from maternity leave and worked on a more like a secondary project for a while, didn't even go to the racetrack. And then in 2022, I came back in race engineering. I did the GT World Challenge in Asia, as well as the Bathurst Wild Card. And being successful with that wild card, having the best ever wild card result in history, Bathurst 1000, that time was, pretty good. And on the other hand as well, usually a wild card is, it is a lot of work because you're kind of creating a new team within a team. These people usually don't work together all the time. You need to obviously you're like the fifth wheel on the car, because we set up for a 2-car team at Triple Eight, and then there's a 3rd car. So it was a lot of work, and it took a lot of effort to make it successful. That's why it makes it even more special. I think it wasn't just one of the team's car and you engineer that. It was like the wild card makes it harder.
So, Romy, you've mentioned that you've worked across the GT3 as well as the supercar. So those that don't know, what's the transition like between supercars and GT racing from an engineering perspective?
Yeah, they're very different cars. Not saying it's totally opposite, because that might be a rally car or a super ute or so, but the approach setting this car up is very different. You also have limitation on both GT3 cars compared to supercars and the other way around. Basically, GT3 car, most of the setup comes from aerodynamics. They have incredible much more downforce than a supercar, but on the other hand, you're very limited with kinematics. So most of the kinematics are homologated. You cannot change many pickup points in the car, as well as kinematics like Ackermann and all that. That's kind of fixed. So you're playing with cambers, toes, but mainly definitely with the aerodynamics, and that makes it very interesting as well, because aerodynamics is not a field by itself. So it's not just setting ride heights and go. They obviously vary each corner, each moment on the track, and getting that in the right window for each track is challenging, but makes it interesting for the engineer. And then on the other hand, the whole format and the whole setup, especially then in GT3 with a Pro Amp, format is different and needs a different approach from the race engineer. If you're working with the amp driver, who usually pays for the entry of the car, but who is usually then not as strong as the pro driver. So the whole driver engineer relationship switches always when you even just talking to the two drivers and taking in their feedback and developing the car or setting the car up for each racetrack that both can drive the car is another interesting situation or challenge you always have there. Yeah, and with the GT3s as well, we were always, as it's in Asia and it is container racing, they are incredible challenge which you would not even think before you ever done it. and these are not typical race engineers challenge. These are like none of the equipment, the electrical equipment might work when you plug it into, when you find the right plug to plug it into the wall. So actually each racetrack, because also they a lot of times, I mean, they have the main tracks year by year, Sepang and Suzuka, but each year we went to a new racetrack there as well. And then you don't only learn the racetrack to set up the car, but you learn the whole infrastructure, the whole pit garage layout. Where do I get my Wi-Fi? A simple thing like that. Like, how is the timing working? How can we make it fit into our softwares? The challenges are huge, but I actually learned to love it. So it's kind of probably an engineering thing to find always a solution for all these problems. So I did enjoy that a lot, always coming to new racetracks and being successful, not only having a fast car, but also have all our equipment operational as well.
And Romy, so that's a great point. Like, how do you get your head around the racetrack? Do you go the week before? Do you go are you working on a sim? Like, how do you get familiar with the track before anyone?
Yes, we did work on the sim. So we usually have our race drivers. They were all on different continent actually. So me in Australia, the M driver in Asia, and the pro driver in the UK. So we jump on a sim session together. The pro driver, he obviously gets a hang of the circuit pretty fast and then he would help the M driver to building up to it and explaining obviously breakpoints, all that. And me as an engineer, I look at the data and try to learn the track from the data and from what I see on their sim driving. And then with the data, I usually do analysis comparing the new track to tracks we've been to, and then put them in a pattern or in a matrix, so I can get an idea where the setup of the car should be going there. And that's kind of how you approach it.
And then fingers crossed until you get onto the track.
Yeah, that's true. Because you never know exactly how it will be done, but you can get quite close to it, I think, already. Yeah.
Fantastic. Now, you have just joined a new team with Premier Racing. So it's a newer team within the supercars here in Australia. So what inspired you to take on this challenge, and what's it been like helping develop a growing team with your experience?
So as I said, after I did the Bathurst wild card, I kind of wanted to be a full-time supercar race engineer. There were so many interesting areas. I always obviously loved the format of the supercar racing. It's very interesting for a race engineer because GT3 racing, it's either endurance racing or it's just 1 hour races without fuel, and there's a certain pit stop window. So that doesn't get any much more challenging. So I definitely wanted to go back to supercar at one point and test my engineering skills in the supercar format. And then also with the whole GT3 program at Triple Eight, it got quite a lot of traveling, especially overseas. I remember there was a time between April and May, out of 6 weeks, I was away for 4 weeks, and I had my son already. So I felt like it was time to prioritize already other areas in my life again. Like I said, I didn't come to Australia to fully dedicate my life to motorsport. Otherwise, I would have probably gone to the Formula One. I'm felt like the right direction would be going back into supercars, as it's a bit more structured and less traveling only within Australia, which gets me to go home Sunday night or Monday morning. But then also, obviously, I always feel like like I said already before, looking for new challenges is always part of my identity. So I knew it's a small team, a new team. I didn't know exactly where they are with anything but I felt like it's the right direction. Obviously they're based on the Gold Coast, and there were already people here who were working with Triple Eight before. I felt like actually my first day I felt like I come home to an old family, and I think I knew 90% of the people when I started here.
That's fantastic.
And it wasn't easy. When I first came, there was no full-time engineer here. We only have Jeff Slater, who also was part-time, and everything was still in its child shoes, you would say in German saying, like very early stages. Very good people, but not many processes in there. And I think the first half year I was just putting out fires. Like I didn't even get to do like all the normal jobs a race engineer usually does, preparing for a weekend, it was just go.
Thank you for listening to today's episode. Obviously, you're a motorsport athlete, a parent, or someone in a team looking to take your career to the next level. But have you checked out the Driver's Toolkit? It's the ultimate resource to help you get started with sponsorship, build your brand, and grow your social media. Plus, it covers motorsport-specific fitness, nutrition, and mindset strategies to keep you performing at your best. So if you're serious about making an impact on and off the track, and this is for you, head over to motivatetraining.com.au/toolkit to learn more and gain instant access. Now let's get back to the episode. Hit the ground running, that's what they say.
Yeah.
But it's turned out to be successful because you were able to achieve a pole position and podium. Woohoo! As the first female engineer in supercars.
Yeah, it was, like I said, the beginning was pretty hard just to get everything running and putting out fires here and there. And but then during the off season, we got some time to develop some processes. We got obviously more people on board. The team moved in a good direction. And we put structures and procedures in place, which is the base, the skeleton of each race team. It's so important to have these because, as you know, to win, especially endurance race, doesn't happen by accident. And if there is just a little bit which isn't right, there is no chance of winning or being on the podium in the supercar series in an endurance race. So we got a lot of this done in the off season, and then just developing this relationship with Jimmy. The first couple rounds, we had a really good start of the season in Bathurst, P4 there, but then struggled for a couple rounds. And as you might know, we have a technical agreement with Triple Eight, so we see their setups, they see ours, and we kind of followed always them along. But already in the beginning, Jimmy struggled to be successful with the exact same setup than Triple Eight has. So I kind of made a little bit unconventional call to divert from that, since we had a test day in May. Mm-hmm. We tested a couple things, and then we kind of knew, we need to go a little bit different direction. Otherwise, we just will be always on the back foot, or in general struggle with the car. And then the next round was Darwin, and here we go, pole position.
Beautiful. Yeah. So there you go. It finally all fell into place, so that not just that short term of working with Newland, but all those years of experience across multiple categories, different teams, came to fruition for you. So once again, congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, it was that But
So you are,
it was quite successful looking back to it.
I know it is, but you are a very big advocate for women, not only in motorsports but just women in business. So you're currently the FIA Girls on Track ambassador and the co-founder of Future Females Australia. Can you tell us more about these initiatives and why they are so important to you?
Yeah. Let's start off with when I was, like I told you, when I was looking for what I want to do as a job, as a career, obviously there was no social media out there yet, and in general, very limited information. What opportunities are there? And like same communities, especially online communities, didn't really exist. So this is something what I love now to nurture. Communities for women, motorsport or non-motorsport, so the Future Females. It's a movement to support success of entrepreneurs, also to connect and collaborate and grow. And then obviously FIA Girls on Track is kind of, I've been with them since the first start in Australia in 2018. It's this amazing program, initially from Susie Wolf, but I think here in Australia we did an amazing job developing further and further as well. It's to inspire young women to get their feet into motorsport, not only by showcasing what we're doing, but also connecting them and then supporting them and mentoring them until they found their feet in.
Excuse me. So yes, you're also passionate about speaking at schools and corporate events. I think I saw last week you did something for International Women's Day and encouraging women to do STEM. So again, for those who don't know, what actually is STEM and what messages do you hope to pass on to young girls aspiring to work in motorsports and or engineering?
Yes, STEM stands for science, technology, engineering, and math. And it's usually a couple subject anyone can choose in school or the direction which might lead them into a career in any of these areas. And again, for me, it's more about you can't be what you can see. A lot of these students don't even know what kind of jobs they can do within this area. So for me, it's about showing them that there are really cool jobs in that area, which don't look only like the typical jobs you might see on the first leaflet of that, but what else is out there, and giving them an idea how a day looks like in my job. What other jobs in engineer or in motorsport is there? There's not only a race engineer, there's a lot of other engineers in there, and what would help them to get their feet into that area, or how they can do the first steps towards it.
So, Romy, you are so busy. I don't know how you fit it all in between being a mum, working full time, doing the FA Girls program, speaking at schools. How do you handle it all? What are your work-life balances like, and what's your secret to your success?
To be honest, I think, and I thought it this morning again, I can actually switch off very well. I think this is still from the time when I used to work in Brisbane with 888 and driving home to the Gold Coast every day. So that hour in the car, or hour and a half, gave me the time to switch off. And as soon as I was at home at the Gold Coast, it's so far from my work, I instantly switch off, and I still have that. Like, I came to work this morning and I thought, like, I didn't even think about all this the whole weekend, like all the stuff which I kind of left unclosed on Friday. I think this is important in general, that you have something which especially takes your mind away from racing and from your job, just to relax and not being able, or don't need to think about it on a weekend or in the night. That helps you a lot to then focus again when you're at work.
Yeah, and so just explain to people, like, when it is a race week, what does your race week look like? So obviously you're at the track on the weekend, so you focus on what you're doing that weekend. But then when's your weekend during the week? Obviously you've got a debrief, but yeah, tell us about what does your race week look like?
Yes, you mentioned it already a little bit. Usually we start the week that actually starts already Friday before race week, because that's when we usually pack the cars into the truck and the truck drives to the racetrack. Yeah. And there's a lot of work which has been done before, because the car needs to have a setup which is specific for that track. But then coming into the race week, as the cars are gone, the setup is done, all the spare parts are packed, we focus on some more of the run plans, the strategy for the races, and analyze a bit more the data from either the past weekend as well as from last year. And then we go into meetings with the drivers, with the other engineers. That all usually happens Monday, Tuesday. And then by Wednesday, we travel to the racetrack. Setup day Thursday, and Friday practice, or depending on the format, there might be an hour race also Friday evening. And then Saturday, Sunday, or actually as soon as you're on the racetrack, even for me it's probably the similar situation, just the other way around. And when I come home, but when I'm on the racetrack, I forget anything which I should think of maybe from home. If I need to remind myself to make an appointment, or bring my normal car to service or so, there's zero chance I will think about that while I'm on the racetrack. So it's, kind of as soon as I'm traveling, my brain is only thinking about racing and car setup and run plans.
I wish I had that ability.
Well, it helps that my partner, he takes care of everything at home, so I don't need to be worried about my son, or if they don't hear from me from the whole day because it's a busy schedule at the track and I don't hear from them, I still know it's all right.
So that's great for your peace of mind, and that definitely helps having that supportive relationship. Now, talking about relationships, we know engineering is just as much about teamwork as about data. What makes a strong driver-engineering relationship, in your opinion?
It's important that you understand. Most important is you understand each other well. And every time you work with a new driver, it's kind of learning a new language, their language, and they learn your language. So,
do you go on dates?
I think we have so many meetings.
Personality quiz.
We do spend a lot of time together, so we have a lot of meetings, obviously looking together on data and vision from the years before, and he explains exactly what he feels in the car, and I align to what I see on the track. And it's different each, right? Worked with so many race drivers over all these years. Every race drivers, I've never would say, this is you describing it very similar like the other one. I've never had that. It's always, you always start from zero again. Yeah. And with that, obviously, important is to be able to collaborate and be honest with each other. I think honesty and respect, even on the racetrack then, helps a lot to build this relationship. So I need to trust him that what he says is actually true. He needs to be honest with me if he made a mistake and that's why the lap time isn't there. Or he can say, no, I couldn't drive that corner because I had that feeling in the car. So, and then the other hand as well, I would always be honest with him what setup changes I make. Even he might not be happy with all of them, but I'd rather have him to be honest and he knows what I'm doing and why I'm doing than if I just do what they want, right?
Yes. Right.
Yeah, and then the same, we need to respect our skills. I don't need to tell, especially pro drivers, I don't need to tell them how to drive the car, give him some input on that. But there's areas when they know exactly what they can get out of the car, in which way the best. And then on the other hand, they give the respect to me and the trust that I make the right setup decisions on the car.
And have you come up with any challenges, obviously being a female in your role within motorsports?
Yeah, a lot. I think every time when I join a new team or work with a new driver, you always need to prove that you have what it takes. It's not just, oh yeah, she's the engineer, that's it. That's, like how when there's a new male engineer in there, usually it's just his title and his experience, and then everyone buys into it. But for me, every time, it's never been any different. You always need to prove your skills and you have what it takes, for sure.
Yeah. Oh, but what more importantly, Romy, what's next for you in your motorsport journey? Are there any dream projects or categories you'd love to work in?
For now, because I'm about to give birth to my second child, I'm actually very happy here within the supercar race series with Premier Racing. We still have so much way to go to improve and be one of the top teams. I think that is still a current challenge for us, which I'm very excited to be part of. What other races? Yeah, probably down the road when my two kids may be a little bit older again. I would love to work with the Super GTs in Japan. They are the same cars or based on the same platform as the old DTM cars, and they are just incredible cars. And obviously the Japanese teams, they are super professional. I just love Japanese engineers, teams. They're all on top of their game. They're so probably closest to Germans any other nation can get. That's maybe why. No, but this is definitely a race series I would love to, even just like a year or two, be part of it.
Now, with your extensive career inside of motorsports, Romy, what changes would you love to see in the motorsport industry, whether it's technology, diversity, or team culture? All of it.
Yes. No, I mean,
I think a lot of people don't understand. Probably like those that are listening know, but I guess when you're working in it as opposed to competing it's still a very, very old sport, isn't it?
Yes. But to be honest, in supercars, I told you before, I love the race formats. It's interesting not only for the people watching it, and it's a really good entertainment, not only for the people watching it, but even for the race engineer. It's always challenging. They're doing a great job. I hope they keep it up that way, that it never gets boring for both the people who work there, but also people watching. And as you just said, and I have a lot of friends working in other industries, in big corporate organizations. As motorsport is an old school industry, it would be great to see it being more supportive for women being able to have a really successful motorsport career, as well as combining it with a family life. Because even if we see all these fruits now coming in from our Girls on Track and all the other programs, we have so many more women joining motorsport, and we're still struggling to keep them there. Let's say it like that. We have an amazing community in Australia, and that's one of the reasons probably why there are still so many. But by the time comes, if they want to have a family, or especially if both the partner as well works in motorsport, you see more and more women choosing different pathways outside of motorsport, even if they stay within engineering or in a technical area, but it might be they're not motorsport anymore. So it would be amazing to see that these women can do their whole career and be on top, like very successful engineers, mechanics, media, anything, throughout their whole career.
Yeah, I did a blog last week around about like why F1 was never my ultimate goal, because like kind of things that you just mentioned there, obviously like the travel, like, you know, leaving the country, family and friends, and like there's a lot of reasons why F1 wasn't the pinnacle for my career of where I wanted to go. But just furthermore to what you're saying, like, you know, as a consultant that works in motorsports and not even being a part of the team, I find it, you know, quite challenging. Not like so much to get work, but I just find like things that I could do. I say to all of my business mentors, I know if I was a male that I would have better traction within my business. And I think that's wrong. When I've got the expertise and the experience, you know, I've been born and bred into motorsports. You know, I have more experience and knowledge and I think even passion than a lot of my male counterparts. But because they're male, it's a really male-dominant sport, they're getting all the clients. So anyway,
yeah, 100%.
It's a long, long way to go. But hopefully before we retire, there's a bit of a change in the industry going forward.
Yeah. It's good to see the change. It's good to see all these movements, all the program, and hopefully along the way, we get closer and closer where it's everyone is in a happy place.
We're all seen as one, and like you said, based on our experience and our qualifications as opposed to our sex would be great. Romy, I really appreciated your chatting with me today. We've got the final fast five to wrap up, and you can wrap up with some words of wisdom for those inspiring to be an engineer. So, Romy, what is your favorite track to work at?
Fuji.
I should have guessed that one. Tell us why, because I very rarely get it. Obviously, normally it's Bathurst. So tell us about Fuji.
I'll let you ask the next question.
Okay, so the most challenging race you've engineered?
My first Bathurst race. It's and this is because there is, well, I didn't know before I came to Australia much about Bathurst, but here it's such a high-rated race weekend. Everyone wants to win it. It's in the news, it's everywhere, so that puts an extra pressure on. Plus, it's obviously the longest race in the supercar calendar with the most challenges. Yeah. You hear me still?
Yeah.
I'm sitting in the dark now. There's a time. Shall I turn the light on back? Okay. I need to go downstairs.
That's all right. We're nearly finished.
Okay.
So just for the world of engineering, like you were saying, obviously when I interview a lot of the drivers, they do say like Bathurst, regardless of like where they are in the world. That's the response. What would be an engineering response? And look, what makes a good track? Is it just how difficult the track is to pioneer?
Well, the reason why I said Fuji is because it is a track which is, it's not easy to get the car right there because it has this very long straight, which makes it, you need to have low drag. But then on the other hand, it has a lot of challenging corners. And I've been very successful with the GT3 cars there. And it's so iconic with the, what's it called, with the wheel there. And I just love that track.
That's all. One tool or habit you can't live without on race day?
I always have a very healthy breakfast, and my colleagues, they always laugh because I always carry this little jar with like seeds and powders and everything with me wherever I go, even Asia, because you never know what kind of food you get there or what that's another thing adding to the list of when you come to a new racetrack in a different country. So that's the start of the day. To have a healthy breakfast is important for me.
That's wonderful. And Romy, your biggest inspiration in motorsport? Do you have one? I think yourself.
I think, and I thought about this before, and I get asked that before, or sometimes inspiration or mentor or something, because I kind of got into motorsport late, but like never had someone to look up to, as especially the engineers were never visible back in the days, beside engineering maybe, but you would not know who is the race engineer of a particular driver and stuff. I would still say though Lewis Hamilton, because I read his book when I must have been maybe 22 or so, his first book, his biography. And I felt I could somehow, especially now, I feel more and more you relate with the struggles he had not being from a typical motorsport family, and some barriers he came across with. I found that really inspirational. And obviously now moving to Ferrari, that kind of a little bit, I kind of forgot a little bit about, not forgot, but wasn't so much interest into F1 and all, didn't follow much the journeys of the drivers. But seeing him with Ferrari, I'm excited about it.
I think there are a lot of people out. I saw definitely the Chinese crowd. It was amazing.
Yes.
It was like the full grandstand. It was phenomenal.
It's I think it's a really good match, his character with the values and of Ferrari. I think it just works well.
Yeah, I agree. Now, Romy, your advice for someone wanting to become a race engineer?
Similar, I get this question asked, or I get approached a lot and asked, I want to be a F1 engineer. What do I need to do? And especially now it became much more visible with Drive to Survive. All the jobs there in motorsport, which is obviously amazing. But everyone wants, a lot of people want to be a race engineer in F1. So the thing is, you not only need to go for the opportunities, you need to kind of create them. So you need to map out a plan, how to get there, starting with grassroots sports, volunteering, getting your feet into, even with just a work experience with a team, seeing if that's really something you want to, and then going step by step. But also, like I said, we have an amazing community here in Australia, especially with all the women working motorsport. There will be always support. You can always reach out to anyone asking a question or which direction to go. Mainly creating opportunity and reach out to people who already work in the industry.
And that's what we keep saying, network, network, network. And the sport is known. It's not what you know, it's who you know, isn't it?
Yes, that's true.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, Romy, thank you so much for sharing all of that information and your time for today. I hope people got a lot out of it around being a race engineer. As you said, you're very open to people contacting you, maybe not right now, but in a few weeks after you've had baby number 2. If anyone's got any questions regarding engineering, that they can find you on LinkedIn. Is that your preferred platform?
Yeah, I think LinkedIn, or I think my Instagram is kind of a mix now of private and work. But wherever you find me, I usually reply. Maybe not the next day, but I'll definitely always take time to reply to any questions or whatever.
Thank you so much, Romy. Is there anything else you'd like to finish up with today?
No, thank you for having me. It was exciting. And I'm truly, when I actually got your invitation or got your request, I thought about it. I think it was my very first podcast I did with you back then. And it was good memories.
Well, I will also put the link to the original podcast with Romy, which was just really raw, and she just came to Australia.
I should have listened to it before.
You can go back and listen now. Anyway, Romy, thank you very much. All the very best with bub number 2 and, of course, with Premier Racing in 2025. We'll hope to see you up on the podium as well.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me again, Linda.
No worries. Thank you. Well, team, and that's a wrap for another episode of the Motorsport Coaching Podcast. I hope you found it valuable and picked up some insights to help you on your motorsport journey. If you enjoyed today's episode, I'd love for you to subscribe on your preferred listening platform, leave a review, and share it with fellow motorsport athletes. Don't forget to follow Motivate Training on social media for even more tips and resources. However, if you'd like to take things further and work with Motivate, race over to motivatetraining.com.au and learn more about our Drivers Toolkit, the Motor Sponsorship Club, Accelerate Coaching, and of course, our Do It For You management program. All of these programs are designed to help you build your brand, secure sponsorship, and grow your career. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you next time.